I just completely freaked myself out because I looked up the blessing to read and I was like, wait, is today day 7? Because I don't remember the blessing from day 6. And then I had to go back and watch my own video and I realized that I didn't do the fiber blessing for day 6. So we have to do 2 today. So let's do doodle doodle doodle. Okay, we're time traveling. Hello fiber friends, welcome to Vlogmas day 6. Here's your blessing. It's may your tools feel like good friends that you trust with your creations. And that was perfect for the conversation that we had on day 6. We were talking about like the outcome, having a industrialized mindset where we're so product focused and ignoring the human part about the creator interacting with the materials and the tools. See? There's kind of a plan. Okay, now to the future. Hello, fiber friends. Welcome to Vlogmas. It's day 7. Because I remember what day it is, because I just said 6. All right, our blessing for day 7 is, may your fiber crafts bring comfort to you and others. Aww, I like it, because that's what we're doing here. And I just love this community so much. We have fun here. All right, let's go ahead and do the advent boxes, and then we're gonna do some other stuff because there's a question I want to address, and it has to do with the fiber that we will open in the Hedgehog Fibres. So let's start with Twice Sheared Sheep. Disclaimers, both of these boxes were sent to me by the companies. The links are in the description if you want to check that out. All right, let's open day 7. It's been a whole week already. What? Okay, where is 7? There you are, 7. Let's see. Storybook Doodle Card Deck, a portable colorwork stitch dictionary. What is this? The Storybook Doodle enables you to design and knit your favorite classic stories. Use these mix and match colorwork chart cards with any doodle-based pattern shape. Huh. I'm gonna have to go to the learn more on the code. So if anyone wants to check that out along with me, there's the codes. You can snag that and go see what's up. This sounds fun. I'm gonna open it, see what's really going on in this little packet. I'm almost as excited as when I used to play Magic. Okay, let's see. How to doodle with yarn. I love doodle with yarn. This feels like what we've been talking about, but I didn't know anything about the box. Like, other than stories are in there, I knew nothing else. Okay, it says choose your pattern, choose your charts, choose your yarn, and start knitting. How cute! It's a Storybook Doodle Infinity Cowl. So I'll just describe it because obviously I can't like just give it all away, but I'm pretty sure I can show you this much because this would be what's on like front page of the pattern. Do you want to buy it kind of a thing? And that's what the cowl looks like. And then it has all these different colorwork patterns. So it has forest trees, candy house, a witch, porridge, Goldilocks. These are so fun. Mama and baby bear. If you're into teddy bears, I just published a video on my other channel. My other channel gets into topics that are beyond spinning, but still related to textiles and fiber arts mostly, but a little bit more into like the pop culture and political side of things. So if you're into that, it's on Evie Unraveling. That's my other channel. If you don't want to hear about politics from me, don't go over there. There are some people who have been there and they're like, this is supposed to be my calm crafting time. I don't want to think about the world right now. I need a break. And I'm like, Go back to Chili and Eve. Anyway, I needed a place to put those thoughts, and that's where it is. This is cute, though. I like this. Oh, it's Little Red Riding Hood, a house, 3 little pigs. This is fun. I love this idea. I think this is really clever and a cute idea. All right. Next, we have Hedgehog Fibres. I will show you how far I got, but I didn't finish the last braid that I had opened. And now we're at a point when I didn't finish it all. But that's okay. We'll figure this out. This is what our previous Hedgehog Fibres looks like on the bobbin. I have all 3 that I've opened so far stacked up, and then there's a little bit more I have to go for spinning on this one. This is how much I still have left to go, and then there's little fluff that I was about to spin. So there's not that much, but there's a bit, maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, but I was taking my time and enjoying this one because it was so lovely. And I wanted to mention something. I did say cashgora instead of cashmere, and I'm not sure if I got that right. I might need to double check and see, maybe there's a listing of the blend on the Hedgehog Fibres website or something, because it could be either. The only thing it said in the box was cash. So cashmere or cashgora could be either. Cashgora is not the breed usually used for cashmere, but any goat, technically, if it has an undercoat that is in the small enough micron range, technically that can be considered cashmere. That's my understanding. I might have that wrong. If I didn't get that right, please tell me in the comments. I'm probably gonna look into cashgora more, but I had it on my mind. I don't know why. And so I said cashgora, but it could be cashmere. Either way, it came from a goat. Either way, it's a very fine, soft fiber, so it's not that far off if I did say the wrong type of goat. This is the box from Hedgehog Fibres. As I said, we got up to the 3rd one, and so today we are going to open the 4th one because we have 12. So we're doing these every other day. We're doing them on the odd days, and since today is day 7, it means we open the next one. I had a question about how I'm organizing the colors with these stacked up on the bobbin, and I think I want to see what's in this one, and then when we have sort of a discussion of things today, I want to talk about ways that you can consider color when you are spinning floofs. I'm excited and I want to see what's in here. Oh my gosh. This is fire. Look at all these oranges and pinks. That is bright, bright, bright. This blend is Falkland 40% camel, Erie silk, and cash 20%, but it just says cash. So maybe it's cashmere. There it is. I don't know. This is the comment from, I am not sure I'm getting this right, Veltastigers. This comment inspired the topic for today. It says, I'm getting ready to spin yesterday's fiber and had a quick question. Were you spinning this one from the fold? Is that because of the silk and cashgora being a bit slick? I'm filling up all my bobbins with these spins. I think I want to keep day 1 as a single and mix it with another yarn. It's a heavy lace weight, fingering weight I have for a brioche knit, but I'm nervous that once I finish it, it'll end up being too bulky to pair with the yarn I have in mind. So I feel like I'm in limbo and stuck. Too many what ifs. Are you keeping your spins on one bobbin, and do you have any ideas yet about what you want to do with them? Such great questions, and I realized I'm just going ahead and spinning and I haven't talked about the plan. So let's talk about how I'm figuring out how to spin this fiber, since I don't know what it all looks like up front. Let's start with, how do I decide if I want to put these all on the same bobbin or what? Like, what is my thought process when I don't know what's coming up? Okay, so there's a few things that I would consider. One thing I would consider is, do the blends go with each other? Like, if I had to ply them together, could I randomly mix and match any of them? And would I have a problem, for instance, I'm just talking about fiber type, not color, right? Like, would I have a problem with something, washing it and having each ply behave very differently when washed? For instance, there are some wools, like the down breeds, that resist felting, and there are some breeds that are very feltable. And so, if I combine those two and I finished it, with some hot water and agitation, it could shrink one of those plies. And that can give you a good effect, but you don't necessarily want that if you're not planning for it. So, also, like if it's a superwash with an unsuperwash, that's another one where they could behave differently through wear and use and maintenance, like washing and stuff like that. So that's the first thing I would consider. But I already know this box has all natural fibers, and so I can assume that. Oh, also they're luxury. So I also know that they're going to have a finer, softer micron count. So I can assume that any of these blends could potentially be plied with any of these others within the box. So I'm making an assumption there. The next thing is color. Can these colors combine? When you put certain colors together with other colors, you can get mud. So anything that is opposite from itself on the color wheel, you have the potential for mud, especially when you're spinning, because it gets so blended up as you're drafting, if you're kind of doing like a combo and holding them together. But visually, it also gets blended if you have contrast colors, like the complementary colors that are opposite each other. If one is like, let's say blue and the other one is orange, and you blend those together and then you stand back at a distance so that your eye can't distinguish the two colors and it starts to just blur as one color together, it's going to look very muddy, like literally mud color. So like also if I had purple and I put it with yellow, that's another one that could be a problem. But if you have, right, it's whatever's opposite. So you're going to have one primary color and then one secondary color. So whatever the primary is, think of the other two primaries and then put those into their complementary, and that's your opposite one, right? So red, what are the other two primaries? The others would be yellow. We're doing the, not the magenta, cyan, yellow. We're doing the red, blue, yellow, right? So we have red and then it's yellow and blue. Combine those and you get green. So red and green are opposite from the color wheel. And if you mix those two together, you're going to get something that's very brown and kind of murky looking. And sometimes that's a color we like, but generally it tends to be a less pleasant color that we mostly don't like. Like it's not like the comforting kind of neutral browns. It's more like did someone step in something kind of a color. Why do I have one hair? I have one curl that's poking my cheek. Yeah, so that's one thing that I'm considering. So like this, if I blend this, this is very orange. And oranges are red and yellow, right? And so what's the other primary? Since this is the secondary, the other one would be blue. So if I put orange and blue together, what happens? We're going to get brown. So this is probably not one that I would ply with the blue that's already on there. It's fine to use complementary colors within a pattern if the field of color is large enough that your eye can distinguish it, right? So like if you're doing blocks of color and your eye can see this color and this color, like my sweater, right? Like the green and the red, they're large enough and they're spaced out enough that it doesn't like optically blend. If that makes sense. So that's just a little color theory thing. So that is something that I consider. I also consider that because sometimes indie dyers will put colors that are complementary colors in the same braid. And so that also makes me think like, how am I going to apply this? How thick am I going to spin it? Do I need more visual field of color? Like how much, all of that kind of thing starts to become a consideration. Okay, so all of that said, how am I thinking of this in terms of setting it up for a spin. So I am thinking I'm probably going to chain ply this. So when you chain ply, if you don't know, it's basically, think of a crochet chain. You're pulling a loop through a loop, you're pulling a loop through a loop. And so that loop that you pull through, you also have the tail coming alongside of it, right? So you've got three strands together, and then you're going to pull that through the next loop, and you've got three strands together. So chain plying makes a three ply. That means that the colors are going to be folded up on themselves. So that's a good technique to use if you have a lot of variety of color within the same braid or whatever it is you're spinning, because you can keep the colors with themselves rather than plying, very opposite, complementary, or just, like colors that get muddy. Chain plying keeps them apart basically because you're putting the colors, folding them back on themselves and keeping them kind of together in sections. It's a good way to create a self stripe. So that's what I'm planning. Because I didn't know what colors were coming next, I know that if I chain ply it, I'm going to keep any colors together. That means if I spin this on the same bobbin, when I take this off to chain ply it, it's going to be all of these colors looped up on each other, and then it'll be all of these colors looped up on each other, and there will be a very clear distinction between this part of the yarn and this part of the yarn. Meaning I can keep it all together for a project if I want, or I can cut it there at that point after it's plied and have mini skeins of different colors. Um, the other thing that I could do is take each of these and split them in half and do one on one bobbin and one on another bobbin. And then I can ply those together at the end. The trick to that, and I have done a similar type of project as that, but the trick is if you're stacking those colors up on each bobbin, there's no guarantee that they're going to meet up the whole entire way through. So you might have one offset, right, where one starts on the next color before the other one does. And if you have something like this and you get this color, one ply of it starts before this one on the other ply is finished, you're going to have a section of these blending together, and that can give you sections where it's muddy. So that's why I chose not to do that method, because I didn't know what colors were coming up. And this is a perfect example of that. The other thing I could have done is to just put each one on the bobbin, and then when the bobbin is full, I can wind it off into a center pull ball. And then when it starts to be the next color, I can stop it, cut it, separate it, whatever, and then take that center pull ball and ply it back on itself. And then take the next section of color, make a center pull ball of that, apply that back on itself. And the other thing I could do is to do the entire thing, the entire full bobbin of different colors back on itself, but only if I'm sure the colors are going to work well together. As the colors stand as they are currently, I could probably ply them back on themselves and it would be okay. We do have some autumnal kinds of colors in the middle, and then we have the darker blue on currently this end of it with some purples, and then we have the white and lighter blue on the other end of it. So the other thing I could do is just take them off into center pull balls and then match the center pull balls together to do two plies from. Um, or I can put it on like a weaving bobbin as well. I could wind it onto um, the little that go in the shuttles. I have that. That's a convenient way to store yarn. Because I'm thinking that middle one that we had for day 2 of this box could go well with this, and then the first and third boxes could ply well together with each other, but I still don't know what's coming up. We still have a lot of other days and colors coming up. So basically, these are all the things I think in my mind when I'm going through the whole process of planning what I want to do with the yarn. But I do know that if I chain ply it, I'm going to be safe in terms of color. And I know that if I chain ply it, I'm also going to get a thickness of yarn that I like to work with. It's going to be like a light worsted. It'll probably puff up to a worsted after it's washed. And, you know, that's lovely. A light worsted, heavy DK, I don't know. Something in there. I'd guess it's probably going to end up around 12 wraps per inch if it's a 3-ply. That's lovely, and I can do a sweater with that, and that sounds great. I could also do, you know, a heavier kind of shawl with that if I wanted to. Or see, it's like infinite possibilities with this. It's like so many thoughts to think about. But the other thing I could do is leave it as a singles yarn, which works for anything that's delicate. But I wouldn't do that if I was going to do it for, like, I don't know, gloves or something. I definitely wouldn't use this for socks. This is all fine wool and you know, finer fibers like the cashmere and stuff. The silk would help give it some structure, but I feel like it would really kind of abrade and fall apart and have to be darned a lot. So this isn't one I would use for socks. But like a shawl, a single would be okay for a shawl if it's like a very gentle, but with a single it can fuzz up, so then you want to make sure you put enough twist to hold up. Usually if it's going to be a single, I decide that before I start spinning to make sure it has enough twist. Um, and what was the other thing I was gonna say? Oh, the other thing, if I wanted to have maximum yardage, doing something like a thread ply is an option, or plying it alongside of like a mohair or something like that, like a very neutral color that goes with all of it, you know, that could work as well, and that can give it a boost of structure. So if it's something where you want this finer diameter of yarn, where it's more like a lace, and it's the type of pattern where you would carry a mohair alongside as you knit, you can ply the two together ahead of time, and that makes sure that that mohair is giving the single, because now it's plied, some support so that it doesn't fall apart. So that's another option. So many options. But for this one, because I do want to start spinning this a little bit, because here we are, we need to, but I haven't finished this one. Also, because this bobbin's getting kind of full, I am going to switch out and put a new bobbin on there to spin this when we do our spinning time later. I could probably fit one more 2-ounce braid on there, but it's gonna get real full, and that's one thing about double drive. The more mass you put on the bobbin, the more you have to crank the tension up to be able to control the bobbin with the double drive band, because there are points when you need the band to slip on the bobbin, and there are points where you need the band to hold and turn the bobbin. So when it's a really heavy bobbin, you need to really have the room to tension it hard enough, and then also a strong enough double drive band where you're not going to like pop the knot on it or something so it falls apart. Anyway, I could still go on. There's so much to it. So I hope that helps anyone who's wondering about the sort of creative thought process that goes into it. If you're ever struggling to envision um, what's going on with color, you know, get some markers or crayons and draw it like it's a line with the different colors, and then draw the other ply or whatever with, you know what I mean, just sketch it out and see what it looks like. And it's a way that you can kind of envision possibilities. The other thing you can do is look for a similar color that you already have in your stash, and you can kind of twist two colors together to see how they look together. And it doesn't have to be the exact like color matched color. It's not going in the same project. You can use something similar to get an idea, and that works as well. So I hope that's helpful. That's a lot. There's a lot of my thought process in there. All right, so I said that it would kind of lead into what I'm doing with some handmade things that I'm working on. So let me go get that, and I'm going to show you what's up with that, and then we will do a little spinning. This is going to be a spoiler for a lot of people in my family. So if you're in my family, go away now. Or risk a Christmas time spoiler, and I don't want to do that to you. So I'm giving you a moment to get back to your phone and switch to a different video And okay, now we're gonna get into the spoiler stuff, so I hope you're gone. I got an antique sock machine and I love it. I love it. I've had previous Vlogmases where I talked about how much I don't like knitting socks, but Mark really likes to get socks for Christmas. And I don't like knitting socks, but I love the circular sock machine. It's from 1908, so it's truly an antique, and I love it. So I decided everyone's getting socks for Christmas, but I'm gonna dye the yarn so that everyone gets colors they like, colors they enjoy. And that sounds fun to me. I got a giant pack of Hawthorn from Knit Picks. I do have an affiliate link for Knit Picks if you're interested in that, but Hawthorn is fingering weight yarn. This is you can get it in different colors, but this is bare, so it's good to dye. And then it is 80% fine superwash Highland wool and 20% polyamide, which is basically is it nylon or polyester? I'll have to look that up. Polyamide. Sounds like polyester. I feel like it's a nylon though. But it has a wool texture to it, so it feels less silky and more woolly, so that it's just a texture. I think it's fine. I don't prefer superwash for myself, but for my family getting socks, I'm thinking of specific people in particular whose feelings won't be hurt when I say this because they're not watching right now because they'll get spoilers if they are. They'll shrink. If I give them socks that are natural wool, they'll shrink it 100%. It'll go straight in the washing machine and it'll shrink. So rather than, try to fight nature, like it's just, they're knitworthy. They are a knitworthy person, but they are gonna do the laundry the way they're gonna do the laundry. And there's no changing that. So we can either suffer a foreseeable heartache or I can get the superwash wool. It's what it is. So there was a sale in October for Socktober, and so I got the big pack, and I'm just gonna use that for everybody. I don't have time to hand spin everybody's socks. That's not gonna happen. But thinking about socks. All right, so real quick, when we think about color and we think about a lot of color making a stripe, or I guess how much color it takes to make a stripe on socks, right? You have to have enough yarn to go all the way around all the knit stitches all the way around the sock. So if you have a longer color like a longer section of color, then you have more material, which means you can go around more times, and that's how you get a thicker stripe of that color. So I want to set up some socks for one person in particular who really likes like stripe socks, like the iconic kind of thick stripe Wizard of Oz witchy type socks, right? They like that style. But to get a thick stripe, we need to have a big section that gets the same color. So I'm going to pull out my warping board because that's how I can redo the skein so that it's more spread out so I can do larger sections of color, and I'm knocking things down with my reach, and because there will be larger sections of color, it'll make thicker stripes. So that's what I'm up to with my handmade stuff today. I'll give you a picture of what that looks like on the warping board so you can see. So that's the picture that I'm going to edit in here later when I get it done. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like a fun afternoon to me. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. All right, let's do a little spinning, and then I'm gonna go and get busy with the warping board.